hardest hit area by the twin earthquakes that struck Venezuela on June 24th. Search and rescue operations carried out by national and international teams along with local community members continue. Our correspondent Belén de los Santos, she is there and has more details for us. Go ahead, Belén, we hear you.
Hello, studios. We continue covering the ongoing rescue efforts here in La Guaira. It's been 6 days since the twin earthquakes that shook Venezuela, and we've been talking about the international efforts to come here and help with the efforts in Venezuela from 24 nations at least that are working right now. And in this case, we are joined by Damien Bain from Barbados, from the team that has come from Barbados here to work in La Guaira. First of all, thank you so much for your effort. And how has the general work been since you got here?
Yes, thank you. So far, it has been tough. Could appreciate that most of the buildings involved are high-rise buildings. So the construction, we're finding it a bit difficult to move it around so that we can execute the searches as best as we could. But the search goes on. Right now, we are here at LaGuardia. It is alleged that about 40 children are still unaccounted for in this structure behind us, and we're just waiting for the heavy equipment to remove some of the heavy rubble so that we can go in and continue our search.
Now, international solidarity has always been so important in the Caribbean. Why take the decision of coming here, regrouping, and coming to Venezuela to help with these twin earthquakes?
Well, you could appreciate that in the Caribbean, we are also prone to natural disasters as well. And usually, if we are impacted, the international community helps us too. So we saw this as an opportunity for us to, as small as we are, to come down to Venezuela and also lend our assistance, because it goes both ways. And we wanted to show our solidarity with Venezuela at this time.
We have been seeing so much of community effort as well. We are seeing the Venezuelan government organizations, the international delegations, and the people from the community who are coming here and working on what is also their own properties, their family members. How are you living through that community effort in the face of this tragic incident that the twin earthquakes?
Well, the community, they have been a big help. Some people with translation, because you could appreciate we're coming from an English-speaking country. But more so, they're showing resilience. They're showing the need to continue searching for their loved ones, and we're here to support that. At no point in time during the exercise have we ever given up hope that we could find their loved ones, and as long as we're here, we will continue to support them in that effort.
Thank you so much for joining us here in teleSUR English. We continue to go over this international efforts, a communal effort, as we were saying, in the hardest hit state by the twin earthquakes. The works are ongoing to this day, and we continue reporting here in teleSUR English.
Thank you, Belén, for your report, for this contact at this hour. We were speaking to our correspondent, Belén de los Santos. She's in La Guaira state in the midst of this catastrophe that is being left by the people of Venezuela. And as we have been informing, La Guaira state has been the hardest hit territory by the two powerful earthquakes that struck the nation on Wednesday, June 24th, and precisely from there we are going to make a live contact at this hour with our colleague Belén de los Santos. Hello Belén, what can you share with us at this hour?
Hello Ale, it's a pleasure to reach you as always in this case in a very difficult day, as all of these days. 6 days have passed since the twin earthquakes that hit Venezuela. You were saying it correctly. La Guaira is one of the hardest hit regions, and we are at the Corales region right now, one that has been very much affected with collapsed buildings. We are just meters away from one of the rescue sites. We have been going back and forth between different rescue sites alongside the entire territory of La Guaira, and part of what you were saying is what is happening right now. It's the 6th day, so that means that, of course, time is of the essence more than ever in terms of the rescue operations that continue despite the amount of hours that have happened since the earthquakes. You were just mentioning moments ago, I heard you about the young boy, 2.5 years old, who was rescued alive just last night with the help of the Jordan Brigade, International Brigade. We actually talked to the team of that Jordan Brigade, the team leader, and he explained us a little bit of what was going on. He also said that it was such an important rescue, the fact that that little boy could come out almost 6 days after the event, and that he was now, at the moment, he said, well and stabilized in the hospital. Truly a miracle. We have seen other rescue sites that continue to be ongoing as well, and other rescues, but of course it is a difficult moment for the families who are also continuing these efforts alongside the Venezuelan organizations and different sectors of the military, the police forces, the communal forces as well here in Venezuela with the international brigades. But Ale, I also wanted to tell you that while all of this is going on, non-stop rescue efforts, there's also a lot of work being done in terms of the assistance to the population. We have been visiting and seeing different installations that have to do with the collection and distribution of donations, for example, for those who have lost their homes, for those who are waiting around for their family members to be found, for their home sites to be recovered. Also sites that are providing with medical assistance, yes, like hospitals that were set up in different places. We just visited one that was recently inaugurated alongside towards the airport region as well in La Guaira. We have also just visited one of the temporary camps that are being set up in assistance to all these people, one specifically targeting the elderly population. And when I say they, I say the people from the community, the communal forces, the organizations, the Venezuelan state. They have gathered up a team and they're going around looking for grandmothers and grandfathers that maybe are alone. They have lost their apartment, or they have lost contact with a family member to take care of them, and they are bringing them in, giving them medical assistance, giving them a place to talk about how they are, to evaluate their health, and also have a good place to stay. That is also happening, and those efforts are being led by the Venezuelan organizations and by the community and communal members. They have been telling us, we know of the strength of popular power in Venezuela, and that is also one of the protagonists here in La Guaira amid this tragedy that was the twin earthquakes last week.
Bella, I wanted to ask you, in the very first moments that followed to these two powerful earthquakes, people started mobilizing in order to reach La Guaira state to support in the rescue efforts and also to bring solidarity aid. At this very moment, La Guaira has restrictions on access precisely to not become an obstacle, that massive support in the rescue efforts precisely. I wanted to ask you, how is this solidarity aid being articulated? You were mentioning there are tens that are refuging at this moment, those who are waiting for their loved ones beneath the rubbles. But I wanted to ask you, how is this solidarity being reaching those affected in the site while La Guaira has restrictions on access?
Yes, very important what you were mentioning. As you were saying, the La Guaira area has some restrictions regarding access. It's not a complete ban on the access of La Guaira, but vehicles do have to register to come inside. There's also no public transportation right now, and that is because it is directly related to the rescue efforts that are underway. Two very easy things to explain. One, the amount of vehicles heading to La Guaira, where we're interrupting the possibility of ambulances, for example, getting back and forth through the rescue sites. Such an important thing when an ambulance is taking, for example, someone who has been rescued from a collapsed building and they need the cleared roads to do that. And another very important factor that we have been covering during these days is the fact that silence is one of the main tools for the rescue operations. You will see it when we're walking up and down in La Guaira, that the rescue sites, many of which are just besides the road. You can maybe see that right behind me. I don't know because it's dark, but there is one of the rescue sites of a collapsed building. They're just beside the road, and they need silence for the rescue teams to be able to use microphones to hear if there are survivors inside the building. For that, every time they need to set up the microphone, they need to stop the entire road. They will come out, they will ask the cars to stop their engines, the motorcycles to stop their engines, and that is how they can carry it out. Of course, that logistic needs some sort of restriction to the vehicles coming in, because if not, it wouldn't be possible. But as you were saying, aid still is coming in. It's coming in the form of volunteers that are participating in all of these brigades, organizations. We have talked to a lot of young Venezuelan doctors, for example, nurses, veterinarians, different specialists who have come from Caracas and from other states, from Carabobo, from Trujillo. They're here to help everyone in their own speciality. Just a few meters from where we are right now, there are a few doctors, very, very young doctors, men and women who have come with a lot of medicines to distribute them at the places in which these donations are being distributed. You also have the main sites of distribution that are being organized and held by the Venezuelan Bolivarian Armed Forces. They are in charge of collecting, organizing, and distributing the aid that is happening here as well. And then, as I was saying before, you have the communal power. You have the communes here who have so much experience in terms of the organization, the popular organization of Venezuela. They are part of this community. They have family members who have been victims of these earthquakes, but they are there working with their community, trying to help those survivors, trying to give them a good day, a good meal, a good healthcare assistance, because they continue to work for their community. So assistance in terms of solidarity is in a lot of different aspects. Maybe it wasn't just the case of everyone coming down to La Guaira. There's a lot of ways to help and to continue helping.
Well,
Hablaba sobre
one
la
more
fe que debemos
question
mantener
I
y la
want to ask
esperanza.
you. 6 days into these two powerful earthquakes, there's still hope beneath the rubble. I want to ask you, how's the feeling? How can you describe the feeling whenever there is a confirmation that there is a person alive and they managed to get to them and to rescue them alive? What's the feeling that you have felt and you have seen for yourself there?
Ale, I'm sorry. I think that the connection is not really good right now. It's one of the other effects of the twin earthquakes. I don't know if you can repeat the question.
Yes, of course. I'm going to repeat the question. I want to know, how could you describe the feeling of finding someone that is alive and that they managed to get to them through the rubble 6 days into these two powerful earthquakes, and there yet is still hope? What are the feelings that you have witnessed there?
Well, I can share you a moment of the day that we witnessed today. We were talking to different colleagues and that we are here right now, how a lot of things are different here. They have shifted. For example, when someone yells silence, it is completely followed by everyone, because everyone knows that yelling silence is the possibility that there may be someone alive. And when someone cries for medical assistance, something that in another situation would be a terrible thing, in this case, someone crying for medical assistance is received almost as a good sign, because if you need medical assistance, it's because the rescue teams are seeing that there is a survivor, and it's one of the indications that they may be just on the brink of getting someone out. And that was the case. We were in the Los Cocos area, one of the hardest hit again here in La Guaira. And the rescue teams continue to work. They continued to get out survivors yet today. And when one of them called for the medical teams to come, a couple of people who were family members working on the rubble as well, helping the rescue teams, they stopped for a minute and they yelled, come on everyone, there's still life under the rubble, you know, we have hope, we will not lose hope. So, and there were tears in their eyes and in everyone's eyes. That is a little bit the feeling. We know that it's been a long time since the earthquakes, but the truth is that the rescues continue to take place, and it's a great community effort in terms of the members of the community, also the Venezuelan organizations, and also the international brigades to come together and try to get as many lives as possible. And of course, the hope is still there.
Thank you, well, very much for being our eyes in this difficult moment for Venezuelans there in La Guaira state.
Thank you, Ale.
We're speaking to our colleague Belén de los Santos. She's at La Guaira state in these very difficult hours for Venezuela and crucial hours as well for those victims that are waiting to be rescued. Hello, join us. We go live at this hour to La Guaira state here in Venezuela. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez held the visit earlier today by helicopter, as we can see, assessing the damage, the dimension of the damage that has been caused in the nation, in some states of the nation after two powerful earthquakes struck the country on June 24th. She arrived at that moment earlier in the day in La Guaira state by helicopter to also, which is at this moment in the place, the vacational place site named Los Caracas. There is a refuge tent, a refuge site for those who have lost everything in the midst of the aftermath of the two powerful earthquakes that struck the country. Let's listen. Here you see the people who are attending. Thank you very much for all of the support in the attention for the families. How many people do you have here? We have 102 refugees. We are not going to leave you alone. These are the statements of Acting President during this visit. She's assessing to the people that she's not going to leave anyone behind. Authorities are deployed in those most affected sites, supporting and also helping the rescue efforts. She's having some words with those refugees that are at this moment being protected in this place in Los Caracas educational site. She addressed the families who also receive her with a warm hug in hard times. There is solidarity as well. There is love of the brothers and sisters of Venezuela. And let's listen. The solidarity of our people was organized. And that is why you are having this place here, this safe place here now. Well, we are seeing in these images, these are comfortable rooms that are equipped with everything needed in also guaranteeing healthcare issues, healthcare assistance, the comfort as well. She is having words one by one, greeting everyone and guaranteeing as well the accompaniment that these families must have in national unity throughout these difficult conditions. Now she's also paying, so you can see images that she's visiting a health center with modernized areas for those families who require health services, so they can be attended here in a very promptly way. Let's listen to statements from Acting President. We keep working at this hour. We have 8 points in which we have detected that there could be people alive. Rescuers, national and international rescuers are activated. Healthcare system as well to save lives as soon as possible. Likewise, the Presidential Commission to verify those households that are activated to go there. They are continuing their they're visiting La Guaira, visiting Miranda State, and we are with our major command to assess the household's infrastructure. Jorge Rodriguez is modifying as well, trying temporary shelters and guaranteeing the household, the logistic support, healthcare. We are activated, the whole government, national government, all of the social protection services to protect those people who lost their homes, and also to give integral attention. There are traumatic situations, these kids, children who are also receiving a psychological special program, and also we are with special plans to have households in a very prompt way. That's the work in joint work that we are doing in these hours. There we have it. Acting President Delcy Rodriguez was visiting throughout the day those most affected and impacted areas, and guaranteeing the full support of the national government, and guaranteeing as well the social security for those who have lost everything, and assessing as well. She was assessing the damage causing infrastructure. She was accompanied by also the President of the National Assembly, as we saw right in that moment. Acting President throughout the day was visiting those most affected areas throughout Caracas and La Guaira State, and also in the Miranda State, and guaranteeing as well the security and the attention of those affected families. She was also visiting healthcare centers, also temporary shelters. This is the everything that is happening at this moment. She was saying that the government, the national government, was going to leave no one behind. Stay tuned with teleSUR English for more information on this crucial topic. Recovery efforts are advancing in La Guaira following the arrival of international rescue crews to the Venezuelan state. Our correspondent Belén de los Santos has the details.
Hello studios, we are here at Los Corrales in La Guaira, going around different working sites. Behind me, one of the sites where operations are still underway. In this case, with the work of different international brigades, we've been talking to the Brigade of Jordan, who is active right now. Also different delegations from different working organizations and groups from the Venezuelan state have told us that the French brigade have also been collaborating on this site. It is an international effort, and this scene is replicated at different working sites alongside La Guaira. We know that this is not only the 6th day of works after the twin earthquakes that hit Venezuela, but also a day after heavy rain last night that complicated the search and rescue operations, because it represented harm not only to the possible victims but also to those carrying out the operations. And also they told us the lightning of the storm made these structures shake at times. That's why they had to briefly stop operations, but they later on resumed them. And we have been reporting this work that is non-stop in search of possible still alive victims under the rubble. That is why no matter how many hours have passed, the operations continue. And actually, just an aside very close to this one where we are right now, in this area of La Guaira, a kid, a very young boy, 2.5 years old, was rescued just last night. So after on the 5 to 6 day mark after the earthquakes, we still have some miracle rescues underway. We talked to the brigades, the Jordan Brigade that was part of the operation that also brought this kid back to the surface. He is hospitalized right now, they tell us, and also in a stable condition. So just one of the images, one of the stories that make up what is happening right now here in La Guaira. The working men and women operating the site were telling us that they will not leave the site until the very last shed of possible life is completely just ruled out. They are continuing with different machinery, different strategies, trying to get different angles. And even though the hours are passing, the work is continuing on the hope of many of the workers. Let's understand that because this is such a community effort, some of the members of the police forces, for example, that are working here are also family members of those who were victim in the same building. That speaks to the effort that is not just about organizations or forces, it's also part of the same community operating here in La Guaira. Those are some of the stories. We will continue bringing you more information. For now, we go back to you.
In Venezuela, national solidarity and unity have been keys in these times of crisis. This is the case of a group of women volunteers who have been on the ground bringing food, water, and a little joy to those most in need.
This is the Adolfo Prince Lara Hospital, located in Puerto Cabello, Carabobo State. Its surroundings have become a temporary camp for relatives of the injured who are being treated at the hospital, or simply for people left adrift, without a roof to call home. But there are angels who don't have wings, everyday people showing up with food, water, and a sprinkle of hope for those in greatest need. They are a group of women, operating under the name Light on the Street, who dream of eventually becoming an official foundation.
We've been helping the people who need it most. Since day one, we've been on the ground in Tacacas, in Palma Sola. My sister and I, and all of us here, have been doing this work from the very first moment this tragedy happened.
For Anayeli, there is just one word to describe the Venezuelan people: strong.
We are strong. No matter where we are, whether here or in any other country, we Venezuelans are always extending a hand to our fellow brothers and sisters, and even to those who aren't. That's what makes us who we are as Venezuelans.
Maria Gabriela, also a volunteer, was handing out coffee the first cup of the day. And though it may seem like a small gesture, she described it as a first little cup of coffee with a touch of joy.
A small sip of coffee for these Venezuelans, for each and every one of them. There are so many people who desperately need even the smallest sign of care. This is truly nothing compared to all that they deserve, all that they really need.
This is the Venezuelan people. Solidarity, pure and united. WHO, in the midst of this tragedy, do not hesitate to help one another.
International solidarity with Venezuela grows following the two powerful 7.2 and 7.5 magnitude earthquakes that struck the country. For example, India has set up a field hospital to treat those affected. More details in the following report.
In the south of Caracas, the Bolivarian government set up the space for the temporary camps to provide assistance to those affected by the environmental tragedy. Men and women from India arrived in Venezuela to provide support alongside the state security forces. This is a field hospital with 41 doctors specializing in various areas, primarily for urgent treatments and surgeries, which often occur in these types of disasters. This is an experienced team, and the same commander is here, who was also in Sri Lanka 6 months ago when the island was hit by a cyclone, and previously in Vietnam when it was hit by an earthquake. The initiative is being implemented in a framework of cooperation and friendship between India and Venezuela, ensuring the deployment of specialized personnel to mitigate the situation of emergency in the vulnerable sectors.
That is why we are inviting the community to come and benefit from all these advantages while they are supporting us. We are willing to work together to tell you from the bottom of our hearts what our country is going through right now. Thank you for your support and for making us feel truly cared for.
The hospital works with its own medical supplies, has its own food supply and uses telemedicine technology. The facilities have areas such as reanimation, traumatology, dentistry, triage, laboratories, X-ray and fully equipped operating theaters.
I came for x-rays because I had back pain. They treated me really well, gave me drops and a cream to apply to the painful area, and told me to take a pill at specific times.
The Venezuelan state is deployed in disaster zones, providing all necessary assistance to the people. A total of 3,360 rescuers from 51 international delegations have joined the effort.
Welcome back from the South. We continue now with more information. In Colombia, main opposition coalition, the Historic Pact Party, announced on Tuesday that they are declaring themselves in peaceful disobedience against the government of the elected president, Abelardo de la Espriella. The decision is based on serious constitutional doubts and international alerts about the future head of state. The Historic Pact Party formalized its opposition as a parliamentary group after expressing its support for the decision of Senator Iván Cepeda, who is demanding that the president-elect renounce his United States citizenship, disassociate himself from agencies such as the DEA or the CIA, and guarantee respect for national sovereignty. The party questions the intentions of the elected president to integrate Colombia into the so-called Escudo de las Américas promoted by President Donald Trump, and warns that this decision would gravely compromise the country's independence in terms of security and foreign policy. In this context, amid the political uproar over the corruption scandal involving President Javier Milei's administration, a new blow to Argentina's scientific community has revealed on Tuesday the National Atomic Energy Commission laid off about 100 workers. Among those affected are researchers, technicians, and professionals with more than a decade of service who were notified of their termination via email and in less than 24 hours were barred from entering their offices. Given the seriousness of the situation, their colleagues and co-workers organized a peaceful protest that was violently suppressed by the gendarmerie operations. For the unions behind these budget cuts lies the opening up of the nuclear sector and Argentine uranium to private capital, mainly from the United States. China consolidates its global leadership in maritime transport with a port infrastructure network that continues to expand and modernize from Beijing. Our correspondent Bruno Falchi brings us more details.
Greetings, comrades. From here in Beijing, I report that China maintains the world's largest port infrastructure and continues to expand its strategic role in global trade. The data was presented this Tuesday by China's Ministry of Transport during a press conference realized here in Beijing as part of a review of the 14th five-year plan period that came from 2021 to 2025. In 2025, China's international ship volume accounted for nearly 1/3 of the global total. The scale of this capacity is reflected in its port. China was home to 8 of 10 world's largest port by cargo throughput. Over the past year, Chinese terminals handle more than 18 billion tons of goods and around 350 million containers, the highest volumes recorded worldwide. The expansion of this logistics network is also reflected in its infrastructure. During the 14th five-year plan period, China added nearly 500 new berths for large vessels, bringing the total numbers of these facilities to more than 3,000. The high-capacity waterway network reached nearly 18,500 kilometers, strengthening connections between ports, rivers, and trade corridors. At the same time, China is advancing in port automation. The countries now operate 60 automated terminals, including 30 automated containers terminals. representing nearly 1/3 of the global total. With this combination of scale, infrastructure, and technology, China strengthened the role as one of the world's leading logistical hubs. With this news, we go back with you in the studios.
And the Communist Party of China marked its 105th founding anniversary on July 1st, with the ceremony led by President Xi Jinping at a time marked by the expansion of its organizational structure and the central role it continues to play in the country's political and economic development. Our correspondent Bruno Falci brings us more details.
Greetings, comrades, from Beijing. More than a century after the founding in 1921, the Communist Party of China marked its 105th anniversary in July 1st. With more than 100 million members and over 5 million primary levels organization, the CPC remains one of the largest organized political structures in the world. The main commemorative ceremony was held at the Great Hall of the People, with the presence of the party's General Secretary and Chinese President Xi Jinping, who presented the July 1st medal to outstanding members in the recognition of their service and contributions across different sectors. During the event, 8 individuals were honored in areas such as defense, health, science, engineering, and rural development, including efforts in the poverty eradication and agricultural modernization. In his remarks, Xi Jinping emphasized the party's role in China's historical development and its vision for the country's modernization and international role. We now listen to a portion of President Xi Jinping's speech.
以自强不息的奋斗
Our party has always stood on the right side of history and on the side of human progress, profoundly reshaping the trend and landscape of global development through tenacious efforts. Today, under the party's leadership, the Chinese people are advancing Chinese modernization, creating a new form of human advancement and expanding the pathways for developing countries to achieve modernization.
Under the leadership of the Communist Party of China, in recent decades, the country has recorded strong economic growth, industrialization, and urbanization, consolidating itself as the world's second-largest economy. The country has also reported the eradication of extreme poverty, an objective as part of its domestic development policies. With this news from the capital of China, we will return with you in the studios.
In Spain, Andalusia has activated campaigns to collect medical supplies to send aid to the victims of the earthquakes. In Malaga, the City Council has set up a collection point at the Municipal Center for Participatory Resources, where medicines and essential medical supplies are being received. The campaign, which includes items such as saline solution, gauze, dressings, masks, gloves, disinfectants, flashlights, and batteries, has been expanded to facilitate citizens' participation. In other Andalusian provinces, community groups, citizens, associations of the Venezuelan community, and social organizations have promoted similar initiatives to send humanitarian aid to the affected areas. In Honduras, the Venezuelan community has set up collection centers to gather donations for families affected by the earthquakes. International solidarity continues to strengthen the seismic emergency response. The Venezuelan volunteers living in Honduras have praised the overwhelming support of the local community as Honduran citizens continue to donate supplies at collection centers across the country. In this context, the collection centers will remain open indefinitely as the nation keeps arriving from both the Honduran and Venezuelan communities, reflecting a spirit of Latin American solidarity with Venezuela during this tragedy.
What we're doing here is organizing a collection center to receive all donation we can. Our goal as the volunteers here and on behalf of the Venezuelan community, is to make sure every contribution, every small support we're providing reaches our fellow Venezuelans. We also want to thank the Honduran people who have come forward to help. We hope these donations reach those in need and help them through this difficult time. Unfortunately, this is a natural disaster that is beyond our control, but the least we can do is contribute our small part to support our country.
I believe that in response to what our fellow Latin American nation, Venezuela, is going through, many Hondurans have stepped up by donating clothing, medicine, and personal hygiene supplies. They have also offered their prayers as rescue efforts continue today and people are still being evacuated from the affected areas. We pray that God watches over and protects them always.
The United Nations Under-Secretary General for Humanitarian Affairs and Emergency Relief Coordinator Tom Fletcher expressed his solidarity with Venezuela following the powerful earthquakes that struck the country on June 24. Throughout his social media accounts, the United Nations official stated, in close touch with Acting President Delcy Rodriguez, to underline full solidarity for the people of Venezuela. The United Nations is supporting national authorities in coordinating and responding to the emergency. Grateful for her visit to our base with 53 international teams from 27 countries. Venezuela's acting president Delcy Rodriguez expressed her gratitude to the Republic of Turkey for the solidarity with the Venezuelan people following the earthquakes. Throughout her social media accounts, acting president Delcy Rodriguez issued the following message. We express our most sincere gratitude to the President Recep Tayyip Erdogan and the Republic of Turkey for their solidarity and swift response to the emergency our country is facing. We deeply value the support provided throughout search and rescue teams, specialized personnel, and humanitarian assistance. These gestures of brotherhood strengthen the ties of friendship and cooperation between our nations in the most difficult times. The Venezuelan people will never forget your solidarity. In Ukraine, municipal crews in Kiev are deploying emergency cooling measures as Europe's record-breaking and deadly heat wave drifts eastward. The capital's local government has begun installing public cooling misters and continuously spraying main roads with water to lower ground temperatures and provide relief to residents. City workers and transit drivers report that operating in these extreme conditions has become exceptionally difficult, with temperatures putting an added strain on outdoor labor. The proactive measures in Kiev mirror efforts across the region as municipal authorities try to protect public health and prevent asphalt damage while the intense summer heat waves expand across Eastern Europe. And in Spain, authorities issued a heat wave alert in several regions of the nation. The Spanish National Meteorological Agency reported that temperatures will continue to rise throughout the first week of July in 6 regions of the country. They also stated that maximum temperatures will rise in the southern half of the country and fall in the north, exceeding 36 and 38 degrees in large areas. Authorities stated that last June there were at least 1,028 deaths due to high temperatures. 12 people died in Ghana due to landslides and floods triggered by heavy rainfall. Several days of torrential rains caused flooding in Ghana's capital, Accra, leaving at least 500 people affected. According to information provided by local authorities, they also reported that the emergency teams continue to assist hundreds of residents stranded in flooded buildings and areas significantly affected by the rains. Additionally, Ghana's meteorological agency urged residents to prepare for more rainfall this week, with the capital being one of the most vulnerable regions. And the World Health Organization reported a cholera outbreak in West Kordofan, Sudan, With 838 suspected cases, 7 confirmed diagnoses, and 117 deaths. The cholera outbreak is unfolding amid the ongoing disruption of health services caused by clashes between the Army and the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces. In response to this emergency, the World Health Organization is expanding the network of cholera treatment centers and oral rehydration points, distributing cholera response kits, installing hand washing stations, and training water chlorination specialists and health workers. In this scenario, the spokesperson for the International Committee of the Red Cross in Sudan, Adnan Hassam, noted that about 80% of medical centers in conflict-affected regions are not functioning, preventing most residents from accessing healthcare.
In La Guaira,